Okay, so as some of you may be aware, I have apparently offended Jean Francois Guerrier, who is a highly active personality on internet blood sports. Apparently, JF believes I am a bad MRA. I've committed a number of sins regarding my comments made on a stream with V and Ralph Retort on V's channel about an article on him on JF published by the Daily Beast. Now, after the first paragraph or two, the article didn't really dog whistle or editorialize. It just laid out a bunch of details from several court cases JF had been involved in, including a guardianship dispute with the parents of a 19-year-old autistic woman who he described at the time as his pregnant fiancée. JF became upset at my comments during a stream on Warski Live, where a 34-second out-of-context clip of my commentary was played for him on the air. Hurt feelings ensued, and outraged JF fans kept poking at me to make some kind of response to the horrible things that I had said. So, once JF had some time to cool down, because I really didn't comment publicly, at least not officially, on any of this. But once he'd had some time to cool down, I reached out to him via email to try to put the dispute to rest. And after some back and forth via email, parts of which JF selectively aired in public with some, at times, bizarre commentary of his own, he decided to make a full-on, hour-long stream outlining my various sins. This entire thing is, to my mind, a bit of a non-controversy that's been blown up beyond all proportion by stubbornness, hurt feelings, miscommunication, and the airing of personal grievances in public places. JF is certainly not the only person whose approach to this has been less than perfect, but I'm going to say that my initial email to JF was an honest and good faith attempt at de-escalating and resolving the conflict outside of the public sphere. Now, to be absolutely frank, and please ignore my drippy nose, it's spring, I wouldn't normally care about this. Plenty of people with a bigger reach than JF have said much meaner things about me. You can't be an MRA if you aren't willing to be criticized, misconstrued, strawmanned, lied about, and maligned. So my feelings aren't hurt here. I'm just kind of baffled by the whole thing. And I'm not particularly concerned with any damage to my reputation in the spaces that I'm operating in, because this fiasco just, like, nobody's going to care. I haven't been hit in the pocketbook by any of this stuff. Anything said about me by internet blood sports fans or participants. And my channel's still gaining subscribers at pretty much the normal rate that it always has, which is slow but steady. But JF has gone to the trouble to upload an hour-long video about this, and his fans have kind of been like fishwives nagging me. So out of respect for a fellow YouTuber, I am going to respond seriously to his criticisms. I mean, I could just laugh them off, but I'm going to actually address them. So let's get started.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a new type of streams that I will do, a series called Horseshoe Frequency, where I'd like to look at some of the issues in current MRA fights, men's right fights. And I had this idea when I started interacting with the queen of MRAs, Karen Strahan.
Queen Karen. Huh. Do I rule over the MRM out of divine right? Did I inherit this position? Was I appointed? Was I hired by an organization? Was I elected? No. All I did was take it upon myself to make videos about men's rights, men's issues, and feminism, JF. That's literally all I did, and it's literally what I continue to do and will continue to do for as long as I am passionate about it. That's all I do.
Who has misrepresented my case, was misrepresented the court case that I was involved in which there were many false allegations made against me.
I wasn't discussing your court case, JF. I was discussing the likely public perception of and reaction to the allegations made in the Daily Beast article, which happened to largely be about your court case. I haven't looked into all the details of your court case, JF, and I don't need to, because I am not and was not commenting on the validity or lack thereof of any of the allegations made in your court case. I was not misrepresenting the details of your case. I was accurately representing the details as presented in the Daily Beast article and some of the public scuttlebutt around it. I mean, honestly, JF, not everything is about you personally.
It is my view that Karen Strahan has demonstrated that she's unable to take the fight of MRA forward. We have to get rid of her, and we have to move on to third wave MRA fights.
We have to get rid of her? Who is this we? Is this like the royal we? Like, do you mean we MRAs? Like, since when were you an MRA, JF? I mean, I thought you were an anti-statist, like, race realist, quasi-ethno-nationalist, just wants to have a white family and preserve the white race kind of guy. I mean, not that you can't be any of those things while still being an MRA, but what's your track record on men's rights, JF? Have you ever, actually established a track record on them? I mean, do you donate money to the National Coalition for Men or the Canadian Association for Equality, these organizations that would actually defend your rights as a man? Are you a member of a men's rights organization? Do you have a public platform devoted to men's rights and men's issues? I mean, I don't want to assume I'm being trolled here, but this is just bizarre.
The second wave MRA that she's part of is insufficient to take our cause forward, and men's rights will not evolve further with her at the head of the movement.
I think it's up to the movement to decide who's at the head of it, don't you? And I actually think you're giving me way too much credit here. Warren Farrell and Paul Elam are more publicly prominent than I am, in my opinion, and there are dozens and dozens of other people, men and women, who fill different niches within the movement and in different spheres of influence. Harry Crouch of NCFM is quite low profile, at least in terms of, being on camera, but he spearheads a lot of boots-on-the-ground lobbying and writing letters in exquisite legalese threatening companies to stop discriminating, and he even managed to finagle a seat on his county's council on domestic violence. Michael Parrott has devoted a ton of his own time and money toward lobbying Washington to reform the immigration provisions of the Violence Against Women Act. Diana Thompson has testified before Congress extensively, more than once, on men's issues, domestic issues, and she heads a lobby initiative to deal with paternity fraud. There are a whole bunch of people out there doing stuff that I don't think you probably have ever heard about. I mean, am I the most prominent on YouTube? Yeah, I probably think I am, but I am by no means the head of the movement, and you'd know that if you were part of the movement.
I wanna list a few sins that I would not expect a single MRA to make a single one of these sins. Alright, if you're an MRA, don't mock the sexual choices of men.
When did I personally mock the sexual choices of men? I mean, I commented on what I believe members of the general public would think of your sexual choices based on the allegations they read in the Daily Beast article. Honestly, JF, on a personal level, I don't give two shits about your sex life. I mean, what are we talking about here? That you like physically attractive younger women? For fuck's sake, JF, I like physically attractive younger women. That you've apparently had sex with lots of people? Join the club, JF. But I have an honest question to ask you here. JF, are there any sexual choices on the part of men that you would not object to seeing mocked? I mean, what about Ross the pedophile? What if he made a particular sexual choice? Would you object to me mocking that choice? Or objecting to it? Or finding it gross? Would I be allowed to judge him for his sexual choices? Would I? Or when you say men's sexual choices should not be mocked, is there nothing at all that is so beyond the pale that it can't be mocked? I mean, just for future reference, you understand? So I'll be able to know when I'm crossing a line drawn in the sand by J.F. Garia P., self-appointed arbiter, presidente, and dictator for life of the third wave of the men's rights movement.
Especially in that legitimate sexual choices. I'm not talking about weird stuff. I'm not talking about criminal stuff.
Well, thank goodness. Hey, incidentally, did you know that what your streaming partner claimed he did on a Kumite stream, which was written up in Right Wing Watch, that's a criminal act in Canada. It's a criminal offense. Also, did you know that there's no statute of limitations on sexual assault in Canada? So, are we actually talking things that are criminal? Or are we talking about stuff that most normal people would find abhorrent and worthy of prison time? Because there's a growing gap between those two things, JF, particularly in light of two recent bills that passed in Parliament and are currently being debated in the Senate. Now, of course, if you were an MRA, you might actually know this. And you might be saying to yourself, I need to disassociate myself from Andy Worski, because he went on a stream and confessed to the public that he committed a criminal offense. He committed sexual assault. But you aren't. You aren't an MRA, so you don't know any of this.
If you are an MRA, you should have a minimal respect for the fact that men can make weird but legal sexual choices, such as living a family lifestyle with a white woman. That's something you should not mock.
When? Oh God. When did I negate your moral or legal right or judge your personal preference to live a family lifestyle with a white or black or brown or yellow or red, for that matter, woman? Where did I do that?
Second sin, perpetrating the myth of men as systematic rapists. I expect a leftist to do that. I don't expect the MRA to do that.
Okay. I hope you're going to have some kind of assertion to back that up.
Disrespecting male safe spaces.
Do you mean male-only spaces, like men's sheds in Australia, which I have supported in the sense of that they should remain male-only? I've even defended that idea to men who want to start sheds and want to include women. I have said that's probably not the thing to do. How about the Boy Scouts, which I have criticized for allowing in girls? I mean, I've done a handful of talk radio interviews about The Wing, which is a female-only workspace. And in those interviews, I take the position, one that is not universal in the MRM for that matter, that same-sex spaces for both males and females should be permitted to exist, that they have value, and they should be allowed. And So, like, I don't understand what your beef is here. As for male safe spaces, that just sounds like a bunch of SJW crap to me.
Again, I have respect for the fact that heterosexual males in our society are being discriminated against, and for this, they block people on Twitter. They develop private spaces where they feel correct. You should not be disrespecting these safe spaces.
JF, I respect your right to maintain an ideological safe space in which you are kept safe from mean people who say mean things to you and hurt your feelings. I will reserve my right as an individual to call you the alt-right's answer to Steve Shives. I will say, however, that maintaining a safe space in this way isn't really going to help you spread your message, whatever message it is that you want to spread, even if you do have access to larger platforms like Worski Live. Eventually, people get annoyed by one-way preaching. They see it for the hypocrisy that it is. Everyone in the public space gets ad hominem attacks, JF. You think I don't get my share of she's old, she's ugly, she looks like a man, she's drunk, she's hit the wall, she's a lesbian, she's a shill, she's an aging slut, yada yada yada. I get that from your audience constantly. I haven't blocked any of them. You seem to want to be a public figure who is seen as an authority on certain topics. And that's fine if that's what you want. But having a thin skin really doesn't lend itself to that kind of vocation.
Misrepresent court findings, again, one of the tools of the homonormative matriarchy is the misrepresentation of court findings. Never do that if you're a MRA.
Homonormative matriarchy. Are you trolling? Homonormative is a word used by feminists and SJWs to describe the erasure and exclusion of bisexual and transgender people, as well as any other person who doesn't fall into the category of 100% cissexual and 100% gay. I mean, I think what you're trying to describe here is LGBTQ positive intersectional feminism. I guess maybe you're making up your own jargon here. And I guess it might catch on, but it just seems to me like you don't know what you're talking about.
Speculating on public perception of free male choice in sex. If a male has decided that he was going for a weird life in which he was living a family lifestyle, making lots of babies and loving a white woman, don't speculate on how this could affect him, how this is bad. In the end, it's his free choice, respect it.
You do realize that speculating as to public perception of anything males do is kind of what my entire channel is devoted to. Like my analysis of society's perceptions of men and what I believe are the root causes of those perceptions. That's why I'm a prominent MRA. I mean, you're literally telling me here that it's a sin for me to do my job. You're an MRA, and you should stop MRAing. That's all you're saying here. Okay. Bend over and I'll follow your advice where it belongs.
Inventing false court documents about men. Very bad. Again, it's in the line of false allegation, but it's a different sin there.
Again, I wasn't discussing court findings. I was discussing allegations made in public by the Daily Beast, some of the public discussion around it, and what the public perception of the whole thing might be.
The seventh sin that the MRA should not commit is disempowering Chad males and young females from their ability to make choices.
Please tell me your use of the term Chad male is 100% ironic. Please, for your sake, I'm begging you to just tell me that.
If a Chad male as happens to have enough success on the sexual market to be going out with a young female, this should be respected. Do not disempower the Chad male. Believing that Chad males are fair target because they're at the height, they're high in the hierarchy. Oh, therefore we can hit them, we can be dishonest toward them, we can make defamation against them. No. Chad males have feelings and you must respect them. A true MRA should be protecting the rights of all men to be protected from defamation.
Okay. Let's set aside this Chad male thing for the moment. Where did I defame you? I commented on allegations about you that were made in the public sphere without taking a position as to whether or not they were true.
Shaming men for legitimate sexual choices by assuming their embarrassment. So if a Chad male has decided that he was going out with 1,000 female and 1,000 females consent, you should not be speculating on the public space about how this is bad in the end. Let's respect the Chad male. Let's not shame him for his life fucking infinite amounts of pussy.
1,000 female? JF. I'm really trying here. Like, I'm hoping you're gonna elucidate as to how I allegedly judged you for having sex with 1,000 female. I can't really do the French accent, the Quebecois accent. I can't get the hang of it. But, like, I have no idea how many women you've had sex with, and I don't care. I don't care to know. All I was commenting on were the allegations made in the article and how they'd be perceived in the general public, and I don't recall anything in there about you being a master of game and a card-carrying pickup artist. Like, I don't recall anything of that sort. It might interest you to know, however, that there are a lot of MRAs out there who detest pickup artists on principle. I'm not one of them. I interviewed Roosh V on my channel. It was a very friendly interview, and I took more heat for being nice to him, from my viewers than I did when I was friendly with Chris Cantwell, for Christ's sake. Like, it's like... Anyway.
Number 10, as a sin, denying the subjective experience of Chad males. You need to understand that maybe, let's say you're a female MRA, you will not understand exactly how it feels to be a Chad, how it feels to have thousands of women wanting to suck your dick. And if you attribute to the Chad male your thoughts that you have as a woman, you will be denying his subjective experience. So respect the Chad male, respect the difference of his subjective experience.
Okay. This is obviously a joke. This whole male Chad male thing has to be the most deadpan shitpost ever. It just has to be. I mean, like, tell me it's a joke so that I can get in on the laugh. Because I really don't want to laugh at you, but I'd be happy to laugh with you.
Now, the sin number 11, assuming that women leaving males is always due to males. That's a classic. Many leftists do it.
I don't make that assumption, JF. Even if I had made that assumption about you, which I did not personally do, I would not be assuming that about all males. I would just be assuming it about you. But again, for the 100th fucking time, I was commenting on what people in general might think about you based on the allegations they read in the Daily Beast article.
Number 12, speculating against males using optics rather than facts. One of the mechanisms of the homonormative matriarchy is to be talking about what people believe. Now you guys are hearing the cat. I'm gonna kick the cat out of the room. I'll be back. Kitty was kicked. All right. So, sin number 12. Speculating against males using optics rather than facts. Because ultimately, the first question you need to address before defaming a male is, was it true? Did he actually do something wrong? If you're speculating about optics, you are, of course, relaying the lies of the matriarchy.
Again. My entire channel, the channel that got me so much attention within the MRM, the channel that earned me a media award from the National Coalition for Men, that's resulted in invitations for me to come give speeches in various locations on men's issues, to be interviewed on TV, radio, podcasts, and by documentarians. The channel that made me the queen of the MRM, in your words. That channel is based on discussing optics, JF. Pretty much all I do involves talking about the differences in how men and women are perceived by others, where those differences come from, who is exploiting those differences to what effect, and how all of that translates into unjust or unequal treatment of men by individuals, institutions, and society at large. You are, again, literally telling me to stop doing my job. And I'm just curious here, JF. Have you initiated a legal action against the Daily Beast for publishing false and defamatory information about you? I'm just wondering.
Sin number 13. Assuming that Chad males who disagree with someone must be uninformed. Sometimes there may be legitimate disagreement that the Chad male decides to express, and you have to be attentive to their disagreement rather than dismissive.
You're talking about my initial email now, aren't you? Honestly, I had talked to several people who were on your side on this, and they were very, very angry with me. And then they heard me out. They read my explanation of what I meant by what I said, and then they went and watched the 12 minutes of conversation from which the short 34-second clip had been lifted, and then they changed their minds. Now, certainly I was hoping that you would be convinced as well. Otherwise I wouldn't have sent the email in the first place. But as to what I was requesting of you, it wasn't just to go watch the longer clip. It was actually to read my description of what I meant by what I said, and then go watch it and try to listen charitably to what I had said. Now, I brought up selenium as an example of someone who had changed his mind after I asked him to do this. I told him, now if you go and listen to the 12-minute clip you've linked me, already believing what I said was what I think, rather than what I believe people are going to think, you might not even notice the surrounding context. Or maybe you just like JF, and JF is mad at me, and the clip they played on air made you so mad you didn't even care about the context. That's what I said to him. That 34-second clip was designed to bias the audience. It's called priming, JF. Priming. It's an implicit memory effect where you expose somebody to a stimulus, a particular stimulus, and then that exposure to that stimulus influences their response to other related stimuli. Selenium, after some time and distance and an explanation and a concerted attempt on his part to listen objectively and charitably, he was able to realize that the shorter clip he saw was biasing, the one that he saw first was biasing his perceptions of the larger clip. Here's what he actually said to me. Quote, "With regards to my comments about you, you are right. The original framing of the short clip must have biased my view of the longer one. I ignored the context. I went in, watching the video, looking to be offended. To me, it sounded like you were mocking JF, which surprised me, considering how cut up about it he seems, and your history of being fair, as you mentioned in the clip, the Jian Ghomeshi trial. As for not allowing Chad males, not accepting that Chad males might disagree for their own reasons. I mean, here's some stuff I said to you in that initial email. Quote, "You can choose to take my word for this or not. And I'm certain there are other things I've said about you that might rub you the wrong way. And I am not here to make nice with you or anything or get you on my side." And I closed by saying, "Anyway, if you've gotten this far, thank you. All I'm asking is that you look at the evidence objectively and consider my side of things, then form your own opinion." My annoyance with you is not based on the fact that you still disagree. You're free to disagree. It's based on this. Quote, "In short, I will not review the video to assess the truth of their statement nor review the comments on it, because no matter if they got the details wrong as you allege, they have reached the same conclusion as I did." I mean, weren't you just saying that focusing on discussing optics rather than facts is leftist and matriarchal? What the hell is that statement that you just made in your email response to me, other than prioritizing optics, how things seem over how they really are, over facts? You said you wouldn't even take a second look at the facts, because even if the facts behind Selenium's conclusion are inaccurate, someone based a conclusion on them. Selenium based his conclusion on them, and that conclusion agrees with yours. Now keep in mind, my reaction to this statement was informed by my assumption that you actually understood why I linked you to that comment exchange with Selenium. I did that to provide you with an example of someone who had changed his mind about what he believed I had said about you after talking to me. I didn't fully realize until later that you seemed to have been under the impression that I was asking you for help defending myself against Selenium's allegations against me. I mean, when you read your email response to me on air, I suspected you were misrepresenting it on purpose. But now, after several more emails and this video, I'm thinking that you just got the wrong idea from it right from the get-go. You just didn't understand what I was asking you to do. Now, had you actually gone and read the comment exchange that I asked you to read, you might have realized that that was not indeed the case. But you refused to do that. You flat out refused to do it. Maybe you were primed by exposure to a 34-second clip that influenced your response to future stimuli, related stimuli, like the full stream that you later revealed to me you had already watched, or maybe my email itself. Maybe I'm destined to rub you the wrong way for the rest of your life because of something you believe that I said about you. I don't know. All I know is you seem to have misunderstood, intentionally or otherwise, what I was asking you to do and why I was asking you to do it. And the entire email exchange between us seems to have gone completely fucking south, to hell in a handbasket from that point on. And your publicizing bits and pieces of it really hasn't helped. Just saying. But, moving on.
And point 14, shaming the alpha Chad male for his work and family structure. Often the Chad male will be successful on the sexual marketplace, and he will end up in a situation where he's both successful in his sex life and in his work life, and he's going to use that. He's going to make money in some way because he's talented, and he's going to bring that money to his pregnant girlfriend who he loves, and you should not shame this decision. It's something that you need to respect in the same way we respect the gays, the trans, the non-binary. We must respect the Chad male.
Okay, so this is so unbelievably, unbearably over the top. I have to conclude that you're shitposting here. I mean, I'm not sure how I shamed you or the Chad male for making money. All I said was I wasn't interested in helping you make money off of this particular stupid drama by coming on Warski Live or your channel. I was fine with sitting down with you somewhere else and let someone else make money on it. I mean, there's a reason why I didn't suggest my own channel. I don't think I should be profiting off of this kind of stupid bullshit. So I was just saying, like, let's go somewhere else where neither of us are making money, neither of us have, a fan base who's going to defend us, neutral territory. Let's go there, right? But I guess you took it as me shaming men for trying to earn a living or something. But I don't want to help you make money off of stupid bullshit that involves me is not the same thing as shame on you for making money in general. Go ahead, make money. Just, you don't get to do it off my back.
And point 15, reverting the presumption of innocence for males. That's a typical mechanism. You'll see leftists do that. It's like you have to prove that you're not a criminal.
No, you don't. I don't recall accusing you of anything criminal, JF.
And finally, number 16, shaming men for being shamed. So essentially joining mob phenomena of lies against men and say, oh, well, even if the lies are lies, he should be ashamed. So reinforcing the stereotype, reinforcing the initial lies, and just bringing them back constantly to the Chad male.
This is about me saying the allegations would be embarrassing to you, isn't it? You know, the vast majority of men out there would be embarrassed to have an article written about them, like the Daily Beast article about you, airing their private business, their history with women, their various court cases, their psychological evaluations. You know, I guess if there's anything I need to apologize for, it's for not knowing you well enough to realize that this shit wouldn't embarrass you. I guess I got that wrong. On the other hand, your entire response to anybody criticizing you or even just poking fun at you over these allegations that were made in public, allegations that you allegedly don't find embarrassing in the slightest, your reaction to that has been to block them on Twitter and accuse them of insulting, abusing, and defaming you and your family. You know, like, do you know how many IBS fanboys I've had call me a drunk over the last month or two, JF? I mean, it's a lot. A lot. You know, and do you know how many of them I've blocked from my Twitter account or from YouTube? Yeah, none. Why do you think that is? Because I'm not ashamed of the fact that I like wine. I do like wine. And I like Caesars. And I like screwdrivers. And I like Bailey's on Ice. Right? I like rum and coke. I like gin and tonic. You know, my response to those people, if I can be arsed to even give them one, is to roll my eyes and say, okay, what's your point? Like, who cares? Seriously, JF, if you don't want people to think you're embarrassed or ashamed by the allegations made by the Daily Beast, repeated use of the words insulting and defaming and abusing and offensive and hurtful and turning yourself into Bloodsport's own Steve Shives is probably not the best way to convince them that you're not embarrassed. I mean, if you want to be seen as shameless, stop acting like you're ashamed.
Now, if you are a MRA and you commit one of these sins, I'm worried about you. I don't think you should lead the MRA movement.
Again, JF, how exactly did I come to lead the MRA movement? Which, you know, I don't, but you seem to think I do. Like, this isn't a top-down dictatorship. It's not an organization either. No one's appointed. There's no elections, and even if there were, I've never run for office. I mean, like, I just make videos. That's literally all I do. That's all I did. That's all I do. I didn't promote myself. I didn't put myself forward as a leader. I just did my thing. If I'm a leader of the movement, then it's the movement that decided that, not me.
Now, Karen Strahan has committed these 16 sins.
I disagree on more than one level. First, I disagree that all 16 of your MRA sins are actually MRA sins. And second, I disagree with your assertion that I have committed any of these sins that I personally see as sins. You seem to be complaining that I, as the queen of the MRM, am not throwing myself 100% behind you on every aspect of the allegations made in the Daily Beast article. I am not shouting your innocence from the rooftops. I'm sorry, JF, that isn't how this works. Every day there are men who are wrongfully convicted of various crimes, and every day there are men who get away with all kinds of wrongdoing even when they're guilty. Even an MRA is under no obligation to believe that every single man ever accused of something bad has been falsely accused. That is not a presumption of guilt, JF. That is called withholding judgment. Now, Queen of Bants informed me that I should listen to your rebuttal/defense, which, according to her, you gave on some live stream she never bothered to link. But I'm sorry. That has to be the most retarded thing that I've ever heard, even from her. You had already made a official written statement in response to the Daily Beast article. Yes, it was incredibly vague. Yes, it didn't address any of the particular allegations in detail. But that was your official public statement. Maybe you could have properly addressed the allegations in detail in that easily accessible official statement, rather than rely on everyone being such a big fan of yours that they would go hunting through hours of live streams in order to be exposed to your side of things. Now, I made it clear in that stream with V that I was not making any moral judgments about you or your choices, and I was making no claims as to whether I believe the allegations against you are true or false. And just letting you know right now, I have not watched this full video yet that I'm responding to. I am responding as I go, like I usually do. So I really, really hope that if you play any part of that stream later on, you didn't clip that bit out, JF, because that would be dishonest. Regardless of any of that, I will not make any assertions that you have been falsely accused or that you are guilty of any of the allegations. And I cannot make any assertion to that effect unless I am damn sure. Because if I'm wrong, I instantly become ineffective as an MRA. And honestly, this vendetta you have with me over how I have allegedly defamed you, you are not demonstrating yourself to be a reliable narrator here. How could I have defamed you if I haven't accused you of anything? How has me giving my opinion as to what the public is likely to believe about the Daily Beast article, how in any way has that defamed you? I mean, you're accusing me of something actionable here. You realize that, right? You're accusing me of breaking the law. If you really believe what I have said is legally actionable, then take legal action. You did it with Destiny, didn't you? But if you accusing me of defaming you, if that's not true, then what you have said here, all of your accusations, they're all legally actionable on my part, aren't they? Because you're defaming me. And regardless of all of that, you don't seem to know, like, one damn thing about the men's rights movement. If you did, you'd know that we get people on the daily demanding that we disassociate ourselves from people like Paul Elam, or from pickup artists, or from MGTOW, by idiots who just discovered us and think they know better. They know better than the veterans of the movement because someone's way of communicating or their style of rhetoric rubbed them the wrong way. You don't seem to know anything about me either, or what I do, or what made me popular in the first place. If you did, you would know that I get no end of flack for interviewing alpha Chad males like Roosh V, for associating with biological essentialists like Stardust, and for giving a platform to race realists like Chris Cantwell. My response to you is my response to all the people who have bitched me out over that stuff. You think you can do better? Do it. Start making men's rights videos. Men's rights videos that tackle actual men's rights issues, not just your particular court case. Do the research, memorize the statistics, formulate a thesis, and present it for public consumption. Do it. Please. We could use all the help we could get. As for me and my sins, I will email you the contact information for various men's rights and men's issues organizations that have supported me in the past, so you can inform them of how I failed to defend the sexual choices and respect the feelings of alpha Chad males. And maybe one of these organizations will take it upon themselves to really look into your case. You know, to see which of us, you or me, is more trustworthy. But be warned, they're not just gonna take your word for it that you didn't do nothing, and then announce a 1,000,000-man march against the people who have allegedly defamed you. Anyhow, feel free to go ahead and email these organizations, and feel free to continue to say whatever the fuck you want about me. You'll be in the ranks of Mother Jones, the New Republic, the SPLC, all kinds of other people who seem to not like what I have to say for various reasons. I will continue to do what I do, and I think I might actually respond to the rest of this video, because I think that from how much I've listened to beyond this point, I think this is where you go into detail about how I sinned, in terms of these 16 sins that you have decided are actually sins because you're Moses or some shit. You're the MRA Moses. So yeah, I'll probably tackle those at some later date, if you like. But for now, that's all I have to say. It's getting to be a little bit late in the afternoon, and I have things to do. So thanks very much for listening, and see you next time.